Do it.
Is it going?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead and share it live.
Hold on.
How y'all doing out there, folks?
Hello there.
We are about to play a song, but we needed to wait for her to share it on her Facebook. So now we're ready. Go ahead, Jen, take it away. All right, confession. I messed up. Not
Yeah,
her.
I was like, wait.
I was like, please just go. I totally did the bridge version and the opening version. Nope, you're not going.
Well,
okay.
this is what live is about. You just
I was like, we got
Please
this.
don't hit me with
I
this.
haven't rehearsed this song. I haven't rehearsed this song in too long. So, okay. Now we're going to actually, I'm going to
Okay,
try to
here we
hold
go.
it down. Here we go. For real, for real.
just don't make me landing.
Okay. I'll try.
Walking through the valley, through the dusty forest path. You're traveling through the valley where the beast lays his hands. Oh, but the stays from your struggles will lead you to land. Oh, carry the light through the darkness. Oh, it's not the end of the road. So listen, the wind might be calling your name. Even though it's hard, you'll find peace where you lay down the burdens of hardships you hold. Will lead you home. Standing at the feet of your maker with your last breath, stripped down naked, down to the bone of your flesh. There's the horizon waiting for you. Look straight ahead, an ocean so blue. Oh, let the tidal wave carry you through. Oh, carry the light through the darkness. Oh, it's not the end of the road. So listen, the wind might be calling your name. Even though it's hard, you'll find peace where you lay down the burdens of hardships you hold. Will lead you home. 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 Feeling heavy and broken, but the door's always open at home. Yes. Well, here we are.
I don't know what that was.
Quarantined in California. I don't know if you guys heard about what's happening, but everyone is advised to stay at home. And we are at home. It's
Thank you, Shirley.
it's interesting time that we're living in. But we wanted to come on here and encourage you and encourage ourselves, because we get encouraged by talking to our friends, and we just wanted to read some scripture and talk about what the true light of the world is, right, babe?
Yeah.
So start with a little prayer, and then go from there.
Start with a little prayer and go from there.
Wiki there.
Right there. Get our
And since
dairy
you're the
air
man
and
of the
get-
house, babe, you go ahead and do that little prayers he prayers.
What was that again? I don't know what. I'm just playing. So, okay. I'm going to pray, and, I'm just going to talk to the Father how I talk to the Father. My Heavenly Father, for the record, so everybody's clear of who I'm praying to. I'm praying to the Creator of heaven and earth, the beginning, the source, the true source of life for all things living. I call him by the name that his people call him, which is Yahweh. Some people call him Yahweh. Some people call him God. I choose not to use that word because that is a title. The name Lord, or the title Lord, is also a title, but I'm endeavoring to decipher between any of the riffraff so that it's very clear of how our family operates. And we want to bring you on this journey because we feel like our Heavenly Father has asked us to do this and has given us a voice and a guitar and a platform and a wonderful group of friends who we love and who we want to share with. So it's like 5:36 a.m. LA time. And we didn't wake up early. We still up. That's why we look so fresh. And so I'll begin with us in prayer. And I just want to make people aware of some of the terminology and language I use. I'll explain if you don't understand what it means. But through all of this, our endeavor is that you hear our heart and that you join with us in, prayer for the people where you are, wherever you're located, because this whole country is going through some stuff that I don't think many people realize. So with that said, Father, Yahweh in heaven, through your Son, through the Mashiach, the Messiah, the one true King, Yeshua HaMashiach, I come to you this morning, I guess it is, with my lovely wife and my Facebook friends, and we ask that you be a part of us and you help us and you consider us your children, so you protect us as your children. And I just realized one thing that's probably you don't like is reverb. I'm going to turn it off. I'm going to turn it off after the song. Please give us a clear mind and a clear heart for helping people in this season and for being a resource of compassion and of honor and of diligence to do your will and seek your kingdom in this time of craziness. And we ask you to give us truth, give us the truth in all things, and preside over what we read and what we watch, so that we really keep sight of what you want us to know and prepare in this season and understand about what's happening in this crazy world we live. So with true humility, we say thank you, and we ask for you to just be with us for this podcast, however long it is, I don't know. In your son Yeshua's name we pray. We ask that the Ruach HaKodesh come and surround us next. And we ask that it's fresh and that it's the best podcast yet. And with that said, Amen.
Amen. So if you see the title on the video, we titled it "You Are the Light of the World." And truly, I believe that's where we see the light starts with you. And how do you show the light? How do you share who God is, who Yah is? It's going to be shown through you. And so when we're going through turmoil, when there's things happening, it's easy to forget to be nice sometimes. If you're hangry, you might forget how to treat your husband sometimes. Or, you know, if you're just going through some hardships, if it's been a long day at work, or if you stubbed your toe, or if you cut off in traffic, if your children aren't listening to you right away, things like that. Those are the times when our temper gets tested. But Yah asks us to be better than that. Better than just a regular person. Just
someone
go above
that doesn't have
beyond.
him.
Someone that doesn't have him.
Correct.
Right. Like if you believe and trust in Yah, then you should not be like a regular person that goes about and gets hangry and screams at her husband or vice versa. We had to go above and beyond to not be like the world, so to speak. So I'm just going to read a scripture here because I think the word speaks a little better and it clarifies what I'm trying to say here.
What Bible are you reading from?
I'm
And
reading
why might
for...
the words sound a bit weird sometimes?
Okay, so we have this Bible called the Hallelujah Scriptures.
Sure do.
Here. This is mine. And it's a little... batted up a little bit. But I don't know if you can see. It's called Hallelujah
She's gone
Scriptures.
to battle with the word. Literally has battle scars on it.
Don't you talk to me like that. But yeah, this...
Oh.
So this is just a version of the Bible where it has all the original names in here. Instead of God, it says Yahweh. Instead of Jesus, it says Yeshua. The original Hebrew names. And the name of cities and the name of certain words that are derived from pagan words. So.
Well, it has Hebrew versions of those words that otherwise would be derived from pagan words. So
Yeah.
it'll make sense.
And we will get to explain that another time. I mean, we'll have plenty of time because
nobody got
quarantined.
nothing to do. We quarantined. We are quarantined.
If you have nothing to do, you're going to be seeing us a lot. No, I'm just kidding.
I gotta put up with her. We at home all day, every day anyway. This is regular for us.
Right. And even though we're both at home, we like to be in the same room.
Do we?
I do. Don't you, babe?
Yes.
Good answer.
Yes. I know
So-
how to answer that question. Yes.
This little scripture here is from Matthew, and it's when Yeshua is on the mountain and there was crowds that were collecting, wanting to hear what he has to say because he just had a lot of good things to say. People just wanted to hear what he has to say. Anyway, and his
Don't look at me.
disciples were there as well, and they're referred to as the Talmidim in this version,
Talmidim.
or like that. So it goes like this. But when he saw the crowds, he went up on a mountain, and when he was seated, his Talmidim came to him, and having opened his mouth, he was teaching them, saying, Baruch, which means blessed. Baruch are the poor in spirit, because theirs is the reign of the Shamaim. Shamaim is referred to the heavens. Baruch are those who mourn, because they shall be comforted. Baruch are the meek, because they shall inherit the earth. Baruch are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, because they shall be filled. Baruch are the compassionate, because they shall obtain compassion. Baruch are the clean in heart, because they shall see the Elohim, which is also the Father and his kingdom, his council, I guess. Baruch are the peacemakers, because they shall be called sons of Elohim. Baruch are those persecuted for righteousness' sake, because theirs is the reign of the Shamaim. Baruch are you when they reproach and persecute you, and falsely say every wicked word against you for my sake. Rejoice and be glad, because your reward is in the Shamaim. Because your reward in the Shamaim is great. For in this way they persecuted the Nebaim, who were before you. And the Nebaim are the prophets.
Nebi'im.
As it's said in Hebrew.
It's like a mix between a B and a V. Nevi'im. Something like that.
You are the salt of the earth. But if the salt becomes tasteless, how shall it be seasoned? For it is no longer of any use, but to be thrown out and be trodden down by men. You are the light of the world. It is impossible for a city to be hidden on a mountain, nor do they light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a lampstand, and it shines to all those in the house. Let your light so shine before men, so that they see your good works and praise your Father who is in the Shamaim. Do not think that I came to destroy the Torah, which is the instructions of Yah, or the Nevi'im,
To the prophets.
And this is also, I just need to mention, this is spoken by Yeshua, Jesus. Do not think that I came to destroy the instructions of the Father, or the prophets, the Nevi'im. I did not come to destroy, but to complete. For truly I say to you, till the Shamaim and the earth pass away, 1 yod or 1 tittle shall by no means pass from the Torah till all be done. Whoever then breaks one of the least of these commands and teaches men so shall be called least in the reign of the Shamaim. But whoever does and teaches them, he shall be called great in the reign of the Shamaim. For I say to you, that unless your righteousness exceeds that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall by no means enter into the reign of the Shamaim. You heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders shall be liable to judgment. But I say to you that whoever is wroth with his brother without a cause shall be liable to judgment. And whoever says to his brother, Raka, shall be liable to the Sanhedrin. But whoever says, you fool, shall be liable to the fire of Gehinnom. If then you bring,
Hell.
which is hell,
Gehenna.
Gehinnom,
It's a specific
Gehinnom.
place outside of Israel. Okay.
If then you bring your gift to the altar and there remember that your brother holds whatever against you, leave your gift there before the altar and go. First make peace with your brother and then come and offer your gift. Be well-minded with your opponent promptly while you are on the way with him, lest your opponent deliver you to the judge, and the judge to the officer, and you shall be thrown into prison. Truly I say to you, you shall by no means go out of there till you have paid the last quarter. You heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not commit adultery, but I say to you, that everyone looking at a woman to lust for her has already committed adultery with her in his heart. And if your right eye causes you to stumble, pluck it out and throw it away from you, for it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into Gehinnom. And if your right hand causes you to stumble, cut it off and throw it away from you. For it is better for you that one of your members perish than for your entire body to be thrown into Gehinnom. And it has been said, whoever puts away his wife, let him give her a certificate of divorce. But I say to you, that whoever puts away his wife, except for the matter of whoring, makes her commit adultery. And whoever marries a woman who has been put away commits adultery. Again, you heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not swear falsely, but shall perform your oath to Yahweh. But I say to you, do not swear falsely at all, neither by the Shamaim, because it is Elohim's throne, nor by the earth, for it is his footstool, nor by Jerusalem, for it is the city of the great sovereign. Nor swear by your head, because you are not able to make one hair white or black. But let your word be yes, be yes, and your no be no. And what goes beyond these is from the wicked one. You heard that it was said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth. But I say to you, do not resist the wicked, but whoever slaps you on your right cheek, turn the other to him also. And he who wants to sue you and take away your inner garment, let him have your outer garment as well. And whoever compels you to go 1,000,000 miles, or walk far, go with him too. Give to him who asks of you, and from him who wants to borrow from you, do not turn away. You heard that it was said, you shall love your neighbor and hate your enemy. But I say to you, love your enemies. Barach those cursing you. Bless those those cursing you. Do good to those hating you, and pray for those insulting you and persecuting you, so that you become sons of your Father in the Shamaim. Because he makes his sun rise on the wicked and on the good, and sends rain on the righteous and on the unrighteous. For if you love those loving you, what reward have you? Are the tax collectors not doing the same too? And if you greet your brothers only, what do you do more? Are the tax collectors not doing so too? Therefore, be perfect, as your Father in the Shamaim is perfect. And that was chapter 5 out of Matthew. So, I think that scripture there speaks for itself, because it's showing you an example. This is what it's talked about when Yeshua is showing the way. He was the one that pointed to the way, because the scribes and the Pharisees had said some things and added some things. And Yeshua was pointing to the actual way. Baby, continue. I'm feeling really nervous right now. You know what I'm gonna say.
First of all, I have no clue what you're trying to say. I'm just like, I mean, I really don't. But so you were basically trying to explain that. Where were you going? Just tell me in a nutshell where you were going. I mean,
Were you listening, babe?
Yeah, I was listening. But
well, okay,
I
so
don't know where you was going.
Okay. So okay, there's so many directions you
Just
can go.
tell me where you were going.
I was just going to. Okay. When people say, I'm just saved by Jesus, it's more than that. It's more than
Okay.
that. It's also following his footsteps. You're saved by knowing his way, by doing his way. And many teachers teach that all you gotta do is believe, and that's it. But that's not it. If you just listen to what I read here, this is from Jesus himself, Yeshua himself, saying that if someone is an adulteress, you shouldn't even look at another person. So it just comes to show you how much of a it's whatever the world is doing, you should be doing way better than that. But babe, you can continue now, because I know that you just are very good with your words.
Oh,
Continue, please.
Wow. Why should I continue again? Go on. Don't. I'm just playing. So what Jen is basically setting me up for, and in a good way, is it's kind of the reason why we started doing these podcasts to begin with, because we realized that with this whole coronavirus thing, a season is coming up upon this country that I think is going to shock a lot of people. And we've been in a position to learn about what's happening for the last everything we've learned in 5 years and 2 months from today, for the past 5 years and 2 months, is all leading us. It's probably just an internet bandwidth thing. She's like, it doesn't work. Maybe it doesn't work. It's working. Is it working? Can y'all see me? It says we got some viewers.
Okay.
Jen's trying to pull it up on her computer, her old clunkety clunkster, and it says it's not working. So I can't. Can anybody hear me? Can anybody?
It's working
hear
on here.
me?
It's working on here.
You sure? That's
No, I'm not sure.
Refresh.
Refresh.
Can anybody hear me? Oh.
Okay. Yeah, it looks like it is. Sorry, guys. So anyway, continue what you were saying, babe.
So, what we've prompted, we're all over the place with this podcast, but hey, Laura, we're literally coming out of a shell in a way, because for the last 5 years, the Father's been teaching us a whole lot about the way this world works, the way spiritual warfare works, the way that a lot of people in this world, through the systems of this world, when I say systems, I mean entertainment, I mean religion, I mean education, I mean finance and banking, and I mean medicine, have been set up to enslave, all of them. And the ones that matter to your soul are the ones that's been tricked even more. And so because of that, we felt like we would be remiss to not share our heart with what we know, especially in this time where everybody's looking at the world and being like, what the blank is happening here? I can't wipe my butt with no toilet paper no more. I don't know what's happening with these kids out of school. It's crazy. I get it. So what she's basically explaining is that because of the time that we're in, we are, if you consider yourself a believer in God, someone who's a good person, someone who's a Christian, someone who's a follower of Jesus, someone who's a believer, someone who's saved, all of these things, we're coming up to a test for anybody in that category. That's like from the like, I want to think that I am, to the, oh no, I'm there, very devout, very, by the book. For both of those bookends of people and everybody in between. And even the people who sit outside of that and like, I don't really know what I think about all this stuff, religion stuff. We're here to speak to you, to the people who have ears to hear, to the people who care to know. If you don't care to know, keep the step, and we don't care. We're not trying to argue. We're not trying to fight. We're just trying to share. And what the Father's laid on our heart to share at the start of this endeavor is that the words that Jen read earlier are the words of Yeshua. And it had come to my attention that the book, the physical leather and paper, is governed by a copyright holder. In this case, this is a independent source that translates and produces this book. It's free. You just go to their website. They don't sell their Bibles at all because they have a philosophy that the Word of God should never be commercialized. So you just tell them how many you want and they'll give them to you for free. But most Bibles, including the King James and especially the King James Version, are copywritten by an entity, an institution. And if you do any research on the institution that owns the copyright to that book, a lot of red flags will begin to be raised, because you'll notice them some evil expletives. They get involved with things that I don't agree with. And, the internet is rife with evidence for that. And that's not what today is about. But today is about understanding that the book and the story in the book should be separated. The book itself, in the book of Isaiah and in the book of Matthew, speak about falsehoods having joined in to the leadership of the history of Israel. And to answer your question from earlier, Rachel, yes, I've been to Israel. I've been there a little over 20 years ago. Jen hasn't been.
No.
But I've been. I enjoyed my trip. It was cool. We hope to go back someday. We don't know. But right now we can't even go to the mailbox, so we got to work on that first. Anyway, we came to understand, in a nutshell, I'm going to condense this, that you can't trust the book. You just can't. You can't trust the integrity of it. You can trust the source of the book, but it's like a game of telephone. Knowing that the game of telephone started with the truth, where are we today? It is simply mind control to suggest that it's infallible. It doesn't claim that it's infallible. It claims that all scripture that is inspired. The verse in Timothy. This was what helped break the seal for me. When you learn what the italicized words in the Bible mean, that means that in English, this word is added from the Greek or Hebrew text. This word was not in the text before. If you see an italicized word in the King James or any of the 1611 King James or some of your older...
Explain what italicized means.
Italicized, meaning like the font is Times New Roman and then it turned like drunk Times New Roman. That's italicized. And what that means is that the translators took the liberty of adding a word here to clarify the grammar in the language they were translating to. Granted, the bias of that personal translator is sometimes evident in the translation, as with any translation. And you got to hope their theology was right if you reading it, 500 years later. And in many cases, it wasn't, because the issue with the crux of what we're dealing with today is a misunderstanding that's about 1800 years in the making. So with that said, I began to explore, all right, Father, I want to know the truth. I'm coming. Please don't strike me dead, but I'm coming to find out that that your own words says you can't, like that the lying pen of the scribe says work falsehood in Isaiah's day. So it hasn't happened again, not once, since Isaiah's day? Yes, it has. Absolutely. Beware of the leaven of the Pharisees. Yeshua got so pissed at them because they were shutting off the keys to the kingdom of the reign of Elohim by the fact that they were withholding how to actually access that from the people due to the mismanagement of the leadership of the priesthood that began with Levi in the original form of the covenant and then extended to Zadok later, and then basically left Israel and hung out in the Qumran community. And so the Dead Sea Scrolls play a little bit of a part of this, but that's a whole nother conversation. And where we're at today is with some sort of game of telephone extension from the true source. And a lot of the game has been fomented in the last 500 years, as evidenced by the person who owns the copyright to the very Bible you probably own and paid for that matter. So what all that is to say is that there's been a trick being played on us to set us up for failure. This is true for both Americans. This is true for the children of Ephraim, for the children of Manasseh, if you know who those names are and where those bloodlines extend to. We don't have time to get into that today, but that factors into it. This is true for the Christians and the Bible believers of the world. Our friends, the people I grew up around, the people I went to school with and the people I went to church with. These are the people we care about, and these are the people we're speaking to. This is about those who we love, trying to share our heart with you guys and our song and our music, and let you know that there is a code that is true. This whole your truth, my truth is ridiculous. The truth that pre-existed any of us popping out our daddy is nuts. I'm saying I use that expression in no other term because people today like to really walk around like they know what's up, and then they don't because they go to the grocery store and they can't even get no toilet paper and they can't make sense of what's happening right in front of their face in their neighborhood and in their schools. Yet they want to, be comfortable in the idea and the fact and the realization that they don't, and that's irresponsible. So we choose not to be irresponsible, and we choose to be very responsible with what the Father has blessed us with, which is a wide network of people to help us learn and help us answer questions and get to the bottom of things that we research, and a weird lifestyle that don't involve actually going to work, which is why this quarantine ain't even a big thing for us. Because we do this every day anyway. We don't go nowhere. And some of us do like being in a different room. Anyway, I'm just playing. I'm just playing. Baby, I love you. I do.
Okay, babe.
I do. But I'm trying to be a little silly, but not too silly, because it's serious. We have been taught and humbled and studied a lot over the last 5 years to come to understand that there is a right way to do things, and that right way is not up to us. Grace is a wonderful thing, but grace is not a ticket. It's not a pass. It's simply a forgiveness and a mercy amongst your attempt to do what he's asking. But if you're not attempting, then grace is not a free ride. It just isn't. And he says it, Yeshua says it in his own words. And when you begin to work backwards into what's happened with the text that we read, it's quite easy to see why people might have come to a different conclusion based on, the culture that they grew up in, which is the culture I grew up in. So I definitely know what I'm talking about. But we're not here to talk about that tonight either. We're here to just simply lay down that the Torah of Yahweh, the instruction, his wonderful will, his beautiful teachings, the same lessons we teach our daughter. Rachel, I know you have children. Gil, Kiki, I know you got kids because I know them, this family. I'm looking at some of the people, Latoya, Jessica, Jay Valik, Angela. I know some of y'all got kids. And so the lessons that you share with your children, now that they out of school and you got to crack the whip on them because the teacher can't do it, now you got to do it. Those same lessons are the ones that the Father in heaven, Yahweh, teaches us and gives us in his lifestyle code, his instructions on how to love him and to love one another. That's not an arbitrary thing. There's sociopaths that claim that they trying to love their victims, but if it doesn't feel like love to the other person, like feel like love, then it isn't. It's like an attempt at love at best, or some poor excuse for it at worst. But Jen says it all the time. Love is an action. It's a thing. There's a DC talk song. Love is a verb. People have said it. This is a thing that any of us who've ever felt love or given love will know. But that,
and this is the platform that the world that we're living in right now is for us to
Laura.
try. It's a test. Basically, it's for us to learn how to be the Word, be the Father's will, because that's ultimately what it is in heaven. We're not, it's not going to. The Father's will here is the same as it is in heaven.
Right, and there's a decorum to heaven. I'll get into it a little bit. What are we at? 41 minutes. Jen gonna go check on the baby. That means I can talk. I'm just playing. Am I? I'm being silly, mostly because I'm delirious at 6:09 a.m. from not having gone to sleep last night whatsoever. I do not act this chipper when I wake up. It's at the end of the tenure of my day that I got this crazy energy. But what Jen is saying is right. There's a foundation that's laid that pre-existed Earth's existence. When you get into, I mentioned this a little bit on the last, not the last one, but the one before last, about the cultural difference between myself and my wife, who is not from America. I'm from North Carolina. She's from Sweden, and the two shall meet in terms of like the cultural similarities. But that's taught me a lot about how other cultures work and how other people are raised and conditioned, and what perks and novelties exist within that, and then what struggles exist within that too. But the Hebrew culture, I know a little bit about, but I didn't know much about it until I began to investigate who Jesus actually was. And when I did that, outside of the system that I grew up in, a lot of clarity was given to me, and it took several years of studying and learning and relearning for me to figure out it's a setup for, it's a partial truth that has a host of wonderful, marvelous, beautiful, caring people mixed in to the to the day of it, but it leaves out a gaping fundamental piece of the puzzle, and that's that you have to actually commit a life to the Torah of Yahweh. The beginning of the book doesn't, like, you don't flip to chapter 4 of the Harry Potter book series and start there. You start at the beginning, and the premises in the beginning of that witchcraft series book apply throughout the story. So in the opposite of that notion, in the truest book that there could ever be, it's the same. And it was like of course, how can we know? And how I know there's something to this is because nobody does it. It's the least popular aspect to do. It's to actually follow the commands of Yahweh. If you love me, you would keep my commands. That's what I'm going to repeat that a lot, because that's what Yeshua said. There are other individuals that came and suggested that the law is done away with and you don't have to obey the Torah because it's been fulfilled, because they ain't speak English. They ain't say fulfilled. This Bible does a decent job at translating that word to complete, as in instruction. I came to complete a set of instructions, but now that it's complete, you don't like to the shredder, Torah, we've got grace. No, it's grace in your endeavor to follow the Torah. It's never been a separation of those two things. And the Roman system of syncretism, of dropping some of that little bit of black ink into an otherwise pure ink, is what we've experienced 1900 years of. And we're in a season where it's time to slice that book. This book, Rachel, the Hallelujah Scriptures, or are you talking about a different book? Hallelujah Scriptures, if that's what you're talking about with this Bible. If you're talking about a different book, you gotta, I don't know which book. So with that said, we have cut out a lot of things from our life. We spoke about it last time. I'll repeat it again. We don't celebrate Easter. Easter's coming up. You will not see us participate one iota in it because we learned something about Easter. Easter is the Latin way to say the name Ishtar. Ishtar is the equivalent of the Babylonian goddess, wife of Nimrod, Semiramis. I don't know how you say that name. I'm not even going to call her nothing because I'm not going to talk about her anymore. Ishtar, Diana, Aphrodite, all of these goddesses of old are all an homage to Semiramis. And Easter is simply how you say that in the Latin extension language called English. And that entire proclivity of bunnies and Easter eggs is all a nod to procreation and fertility. She's the fertility goddess. The egg is very symbolic with anything related to that particular deity, false deity. And there's a whole host of other reasons. If you know anything about like your enemy, you know, the enemies of the children of God is the warriors of Satan, Hashatan, Lucifer, the devil, the adversary, old Slewfoot. He got like a million names. Yahweh's got one. It's always been the same. And his son, Yahushua, Yahawashah, however you say it, is a phonetic sentence in the language that they spoke that points back to the Father to begin with, the very same creator of heaven and earth. And so I began to ask him to give me a heart of his. Just say, Father, somebody taught me this. It wasn't even me who came up with this, but somebody else was like, I want to be excited about the things you're excited about and pissed about the things you're pissed about, disgusted about what disgusts you, and endeared and kind of invigorated by the things that invigorate you. And that's been a prayer of mine now for 3 or 4 years when I heard somebody suggest praying that way. And when you do, you better be ready for what changes in your heart and mind. Because I'm here to tell you, if you can see my eyes through these glasses, I put these on because I was like, I'm wearing my glasses because it made me look smart. If you can see these eyes, if you pray that prayer, he will answer you. There you go. And if you're ready for him to show you some things, he will. And when he does, it will make a lot of things make sense, but it'll make you have to make a lot of decisions that are uncomfortable. And those decisions are the very thing he said would happen. This whole idea of being aligned with a religion that finds plenty of comfort in this world, it's not Yeshua. It's for many will come in my name and say, I healed the sick and I did all this, and I come in my Father's name. It'll be different who comes in his own name. We'll talk about all the details of that a different day. Mr. Fidelio, what's going on? I was just talking about you earlier today. Hope you're doing well and your family. Thank you so much, Bradley. I appreciate that. You're a good dude. I ain't seen you in forever, but hope you're well, man, and your family safe. Y'all in LA, y'all locked down too. Ain't no thing at the grocery store. I was at CVS earlier today, and I came back home to drop the stuff off to go back out to go shopping just for some last minute stuff because I knew any day now. And the line is out the grocery store. We live near a grocery store. The line is stretched out the front door all the way down the block to get in the grocery store. They're closing 15 minutes. I said, not today, no. Plus, it would have been empty anyway. I can go in about an hour and 45 minutes when they open, and I'll be the first in line, or I'll be in the first 100. I keep flip-flopping on my subject matter, but I'm gonna rein it in. I'm gonna okay, we're gonna get there closer. I feel just very strongly now about the truth. Those who worship me must do so in spirit and in truth. And I think that this is where grace comes in, because the Father realizes how deceived a lot of people have been. And he loves you, and he really does. And he loves me, and he loves Jen, and he loves our family, and he loves your family. He loves everything he created. But he has a way that is true and pure. And that way was established from the beginning. And it was perfected through his son and like translated, if you will, and like modernized and made personalized through his Ruach HaKodesh, spirit, a set apart nature, a set apart spirit. And if like that should be what you're paying attention to for the next couple of weeks, especially. I mean, for forever, but like definitely in the next couple of weeks, because the news is going to set you up for failure. I would turn it off, like straight talk. We got a TV. It ain't even connected to a cable. It's connected. It's got one HDMI cable coming out of it, and we plug in our laptop or the Roku, and that's it. Cut the TV off. It's gonna end up tricking people and playing with people's emotions for a host of reasons that are too difficult to get into on this podcast. But I'm thinking about doing what we've said is that we're going to be alternating subject matter. So we're going to talk about spiritual matters for one show, and then the next show we're going to talk about what's going on in this crazy world, and then we're going to go back to spiritual matters and kind of flip-flop. And maybe we'll do it like that. Maybe we'll change our minds at some point, but at the moment we're going to do it like that, meaning we're going to definitely do a Shabbat service, one on Shabbat, which is tomorrow. So that means later today I might hop back on and talk some nerdy talk. A lot of y'all know me. Who remembers me from back home, back in the day? I wasn't always a straight A student with A pluses, but I definitely was mostly a straight A. I was a spelling bee nerd kid, loved the English language, loved the humanities, hated math and stuff, good at sports, but I was all right at math because I knew it was numbers. Numbers make sense. So I'm that same person now. I'm just older and I got a kid and I'm trying to figure out what to do. And I got a weird job where I work in LA and I do videos for a living. I just like literally make people's stuff look good on camera or make people's stories look good on camera. And they pay me money to do that. That's why I do it at home, where it's most comfortable. And I've worked this weird, wacky job for the last 15 years of my career. So, you know, this quarantine life is nothing new to me. I've seen all these memes that are like, you know, it's the little puppet looking out the corner of his eye like, oh, don't nobody look at me. Where it says, when artists realize that their entire life is already a quarantine. That's what it's like. So because of that, we thrive in these times. And so we have a lot we're going to be working on and sharing with when it comes to art and music. And if you caught the beginning of this, we played a song. I'm trying to figure out, let me think. There's another song. I have a whole project that I'm working on, but I didn't want to play my song right now, mostly because it's in a different tuning and I don't want to retune the guitar, and also because I want Jen's song to just be her own thing. I'll do mine a different time. But I'm not going to let this go longer than an hour, which means we got about 5 more minutes. If you got any questions, I suppose you can ask. You know, the reason we brought all that up, the reason Jen felt inspired to read this is because we're coming up on a time that I think is really scary for many people. And they're going to need peace. Peace, for real. And I believe that the Father will grant that for people. And he, you know, a lot of people are, you know, they're in a state of where they feel unworthy of it. I mean, I go through that myself still. And you feel like I want it, but I'm afraid to ask for it because I know I should be doing better, but I really need it. Please give it to me, God. And that's okay. You know, it's human. It's reality. I think that what is also reality is what happened. It's history. What did happen? Who the culture of the followers of the true Yeshua really were. Sarah DeShields, hello, how are you? You missed my guitar playing. We played guitar earlier, Sarah. I know you were guitarist. And what about to knock this off. What is happening here is we're coming up on. I'm circling around my words a lot because what I'm really trying to say is that we're coming upon a time where I think we have to worship Him and praise Him in our fears, through our fears and through our worries, and we need to do so in a way that like acknowledges what He's asked. History is what's the famous quote? Those who fail to understand history are doomed to repeat it. I tried to make sure I wasn't failing to understand history, and history has it that America about to be done with. We're about to be made an example of, you guys. We've been unfaithful in many ways to our Elohim, and he's going to refine a handful of us, and a lot of y'all ain't gonna, I'm not saying y'all, but a lot of people will end up in a bad way if they don't find humility and honor in their hearts soon enough. Not necessarily because of this coronavirus specifically, but just with everything that's coming, starting with this kickoff event. So we just really appreciate everybody listening still. And it's already, 3 more minutes. I'm going to make this. Jasmine Bowers, hello. Kent, hello. All that to say, I'm trying to just round it back out as to what Jen was trying to explain. She was basically saying, Yeshua sat down. He made it quite clear. This instruction manual. If some of y'all are teachers, right? Kids out of school, y'all trying to all figure out how to be homeschool teachers today, this week, and if you're a good teacher, you're going to teach your students how to learn the information you're trying to teach them. And then you're going to test them on that information. And how they're graded is a direct result of how they respond to the test, how they answer the questions that you ask them on the test. The Torah is a little bit like that. The judgment is a little bit like that. It's a transaction between a covenant agreement. This is what I promise to do for you if you promise to do this for me, like any other contract. But the terms of that contract are not arbitrarily up to the individual because they said a prayer one time 15, 25 years ago. They're incumbent upon the commitment to honoring that covenant. And that covenant is everlasting, and at least until the end of all things, which might be in a week or two, I don't know, but at least until everything, heaven and earth, has passed away, the covenant still stands. And, we just wanted to share that with you because some of you never knew that. I was never told that until I read it for myself and I began to investigate the homework of a lot of other individuals who went online. What we're going to talk about next time is something more specifically related to coronavirus. I read some numbers, the official numbers of the official death. Now I'm going to ask you a riddle and then we're going to get out of here. There are 7.3 plus billion people in the earth last time I checked. The last number officially from the World Health Organization that I've heard as of March 18th was 208,000. I wrote it down somewhere. I don't know where my phone is. 208,000 deaths. Sorry, I misspoke. 208,000 cases, confirmed cases. 6,500, something like that, actual deaths. When you divide 208,000 by 7.3 billion, you get 0.0000028. Does that number, that percentage of people that have caught this virus, equate to stopping the entire world in a matter of 10 days? Is the response congruent with the problem? .0000. I mean, somebody can bust a calculator out to check my math. I'm going off memory here. 26 or 28 % of people have contracted it. Only 6,500. I didn't even do the math on that. Have actually caught it. Does any of that sound like it's warrant the measures that have happened in the shutting down and the quarantining of almost every major city in the world at this point? Does that seem like a congruent reaction, or does it seem like there might be something else going on? If you ask, hey, Kristen Robbins, if you say, yeah, that's kind of weird, .000028, they wouldn't even round up to 1 penny. They wouldn't even trickle into like a fraction. It's like a complex fraction just to get to that. Well, not too complex. 208,000 divided by 7.3 billion. But man, oh man. So that's what we're going to talk about next time, is what's the deal there. And maybe, just maybe, we'll play some more tunes. 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 And with that, I'm leaving the room. Peace, you guys. Have a good Friday or whatever today is. I don't know. Something like that. I need to go to bed.